Attention and is that we will do this for an hour to get all the questions in. So the first person to come up is Robert Vincent, followed by Craig Clark. And I apologize if I mess up your names. Forgive me. This one I think I'm okay. All right, here we go.
Sorry, Governor, I'm at an inconvenience since I'm Italian. I talk with my hands. Massive layoffs, closings, and exodus of businesses and residents. Second worst economy in the country, according to the CBIA. This is all recent information, by the way. Number one worst state for economic growth for Forbes magazine. One of the strongest gun legislations in the country. Largest tax increase in the history of the state of Connecticut. Public support of Obamacare with its 20% approval rating. And public support of Common Core with its 0% approval rating. And last but not least, the signing of the 1010 minimum wage increase, an increase you vehemently opposed in 2012 as it was not good for the Connecticut state economy. I didn't realize the economy got better since that time. Which coincidentally, after passing, you announced your intention to run for a second term. So my question is, with all the baggage that you and your administration has created and now drags with it, what makes you think that you have earned the right of all people of Connecticut to support you in a second term?
Sure.
Do you honestly think Connecticut can survive long enough until you get it right?
Sure. Well, I'm hoping we've met before.
Yes,
and I'm hoping that you'll get it
change
right.
the question.
I'm hoping you'll get it right sooner or later. So let's two of the points that you've made. Number one, I am very proud of the gun control legislation that I signed 1 year ago tomorrow. Very proud, for instance, that we've made the state substantially safer than it's been in the past. Very proud that we have denied people with mental illness backgrounds from purchasing guns this past year. Very proud that we stopped a young lady who was planning an attack in a school in the state of Connecticut from purchasing a gun. So listen, I'm more than happy to run for office or be your governor and accept, quite frankly, the reality that I champion that legislation. I think if you look around and you ask most reasonable people, they believe that no one should be able to buy a gun without a background check. Layoffs, let's be very clear. First of all, we've seen the creation of 52,000 private sector jobs since Nancy and I took office. That's the reality. Some of the numbers that you're talking about simply are not the reality, but I know that you're going to repeat them regardless. But what we're doing and seeing in the state of Connecticut is real economic activity. For instance, 4 years ago, under a Republican administration, our largest employer, with 27,000 employees, United Technologies, said that there was no reason to be doing business in the state of Connecticut. That's what they said. And yet, after 3.5 years of my administration, they're about to make a very sizable investment right here in East Hartford, 450,000 square foot, 450,000 square foot headquarters and engineering center. And they're going to make improvements at a number of other facilities throughout the state of Connecticut. And they've said to the people of East Hartford that we're going to keep our headquarters here for 15 years after we move into a new building. You go to another part of the state, down in Fairfield County, where NBC Sports moved from Philadelphia and New York to be housed in the state of Connecticut. If you watched any part of the Olympics, it came to you from Connecticut. That stands side by side with ESPN, which has now built yet another digital communications center here in the state of Connecticut. They chose us over Dallas, Texas, and California. We beat Texas to make sure that we got that business. So let's be very clear. I didn't drive the state of Connecticut into the ditch. Folks that you probably voted for did. But I got hired to straighten this out. And you don't turn things around overnight. But we have begun the process of making sure that that happens. Some of the statistics which I just quoted for you bear that out. The reality is that we've got to do even more work. We have to make sure our urban school systems do a better job in educating our workforce so that we can be competitive, not just with the 49 states, but with the rest of the world. So
That's not Common Core.
so, listen, I'm not sure that Common Core is perfect, but I believe it's better than what we have and needs to be implemented. Governors across the state, across the nation, including Governor Rao in 2009, endorsed it and brought it to the state of Connecticut. It was not by a Democratic governor, by a Republican governor, and by executive order instituted in the state of Connecticut. And by the way, making sure that our young people, our children, understand the basics of math and algebra to a deeper extent makes a lot of sense in a world where China is producing engineers at vastly larger numbers than we are. We want to attract people to STEM education. We want to make it easier for them to transition into science, technology, math, and engineering. That's also why we increased the population of the University of Connecticut Storrs campus by 5,000 people. It's why we've increased STEM graduation from that university, or have plans to increase it by 47%. It's one of the reasons why we're increasing the size of the engineering school by 70%, and this year alone increased it by 40%. These are long-term investments in job growth. So I'll give you one other statistic, because I know what's behind some of this is guns. An interesting report got issued.
That was one of 6 questions.
No, but I'm going to come back to it, because you wanted to make a point about jobs. So an interesting report came out just yesterday about the gun industry in Connecticut, where people like yourself said they would flee in mass numbers. Well, I have news for you. We have 206 more jobs in that industry than we had a year ago. Growth is happening, and I'm proud of it.
Followed by Stephen Botelli.